Loved for decades as the nation's grandfather, Lee Soon-jae was a man whose gentle smile and warm presence healed audiences across generations. But as peaceful as his public image appeared, the truth he carried into his final moments was far from gentle. Inside a quiet hospital room, surrounded by dim light and the fading echoes of machines, he opened his eyes for the last time and left behind words that were neither calm nor comforting. They were trembling, determined, and filled with a mystery deep enough to shake the entirety of the Korean entertainment world. Those present had expected a serene farewell, the kind of soft goodbye that follows a life of grace and dignity. Instead, they witnessed a revelation that would haunt his family, unsettle his closest colleagues, and ignite the media into a storm of speculation. According to a family acquaintance, the room fell into stillness when he suddenly tightened his grip on his son's hand. His breathing was shallow, but his voice, surprisingly clear, cut through the silence. "Don't let my name be used for comfort. Let it be used for truth," he whispered. Another relative recalled a different line, one even more chilling. "When the lights fade, there is only one person I trust with everything I built. Make sure it reaches him, exactly as I said." These were not the words of a man ready for peace. They were the words of someone carrying a burden, a secret, or perhaps an unresolved chapter that only he could understand. No one in the room fully grasped the meaning. What truth was he referring to? What burden was he passing on? And who was the one person mentioned in his final plea? These questions lingered in the air long after his breath had stopped, stirring unease among every witness. The funeral, held days later, added another layer of mystery. Though quiet, respectful, and attended by many who loved him, the ceremony took an unexpected turn when a longtime junior actor collapsed in front of the altar, clutching an envelope. His voice trembled as he revealed that Lee Soon-jae himself had given it to him weeks before being hospitalized, with strict instructions not to open it unless he could no longer speak for himself. The crowd fell silent. All cameras lowered. Even the family paused. Inside the envelope was a single handwritten message, steady, deliberate, unmistakably bearing his penmanship. It contained the truth the family had desperately tried to shield. "All that I own, all that I have built, give it to my son. No one else. This is my final will." The clarity of the note was shocking. His estate was enormous, the result of more than 60 decades of acting, teaching, guiding, mentoring, and contributing to the foundation of modern Korean entertainment. Many expected its distribution to follow tradition, divided among family, charities, protégés, and the institutions he had shaped. But his will was absolute, undivided, final. As soon as the letter was read, the emotional atmosphere shifted. Some family members cried, some questioned its timing. Others insisted it must have been written long before, driven by something private and unresolved. But experts confirmed the signature was recent, written only months before his hospitalization. Behind closed doors, tension rose, meetings were held, conversations grew heated, documents were re-examined, and eventually, with no room for reinterpretation, the painful conclusion became unavoidable. His final request must be honored exactly as written. When news of the will quietly leaked into the entertainment world, reactions spread like wildfire. Younger actors expressed disbelief. Veteran celebrities broke down during interviews, mourning not just the loss of a legend, but the emotional weight hidden beneath his final decision. A senior actress who had known him for more than 40 years said through tears, "He always smiled for the public, but I think he carried a loneliness that none of us truly saw." His last words, they weren't about money. They were about who understood him, who stood by him, who he trusted. As the truth settled, a wave of reflection swept across those who had once worked closely with him. Many recalled moments when he spoke about legacy, responsibility, and the silent burdens of fame. One former co-star shared a moment from years ago. He told me once, "A person's final words hold the truth they never said out loud. Back then, I didn't understand, but now I do." His will was not simply a distribution of wealth. It was a message, a final stance, perhaps, shaped by private experiences, unspoken regrets, or a love deeper than the public ever saw. His complete trust in his son raised countless questions, yet none of them can be fully answered now. Only Lee Soon-jae knew the true meaning behind that choice, and he carried it into eternity. Today, as the entertainment industry continues to mourn him, his final words echo with new weight. They are not just a will, they are a revelation, a final curtain call that forces everyone to reconsider the man behind the warm smile. His legacy lives on not just through his films and dramas, but through this final, powerful truth. Everything he created, everything he earned, everything he guarded throughout his life, he entrusted entirely to his son, the only person he believed would carry his heart forward without distortion. And so the last secret of the nation's grandfather has finally been revealed. A secret that was never meant to comfort, but to awaken. A truth that, once spoken, shook Korean entertainment to its core. A final message that ensures his voice echoes long after he is gone. If you have followed this story to the end, share your thoughts. What do you believe Lee Soon-jae wished to protect? And before you leave, remember to stay with us. This channel will continue digging into the untold stories, hidden truths, and the unseen sides of the entertainment world. In the days that followed the public revelation of his will, the discourse surrounding Lee Soon-jae's final words only intensified. Fans, colleagues, industry veterans, even cultural analysts found themselves drawn into heated conversations about what his decision truly meant. Some argued that his choice reflected a deep private bond between father and son, one that the public never saw. Others speculated that it was an attempt to restore a relationship strained by years of distance due to the demands of his career. There were also those who believed he had simply chosen the one person who understood his heart without conditions, expectations, or calculations. Yet in every discussion, one theme remained constant. His final words were not the product of impulse, but the culmination of a lifetime of reflection. As people revisited his past speeches and old interviews, certain patterns emerged, subtle hints that now seemed almost prophetic. In a talk he gave nearly a decade ago, he said, "Fame is a strange companion. It gives you applause, but it takes away your quiet moments." At the time, audiences interpreted it as a philosophical remark about celebrity life. Now, in light of his final instructions, many saw a different meaning. They wondered if those quiet moments he lost were the ones he wished he had spent with his son. Another interview resurfaced where he shared, "If I can leave behind a foundation, it won't be for the crowd. It'll be for the person who truly knows my footsteps." Fans who read that line again were struck by how closely it echoed the content of his handwritten will. It was as if he had been trying to express his truth all along, but the world simply wasn't listening closely enough. Not long after the funeral, a former student from his theater days shared a particularly emotional account. He recalled a late-night rehearsal years ago when the studio was nearly empty, and he sat beside